Good evening. Happy Thursday
Spirit
evening.
fingers.
Steve is either doing the spirit fingers or whatever they call that at Duke University when the other team is inbounding the ball. Not sure what.
It's
sure
probably
what you
called
would go
spirit
with.
fingers if we're going to be real about it.
That's true. I don't. But they probably it's Duke, so they probably have some weird name for it.
Okay,
The
rich.
wiggle wands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich spirit fingers.
K,
Don't piss off my daddy's spirit fingers.
Yeah. The Coach K hands. You know how like the jazz hands. It's the Coach K hands. I don't know. It's a bit of a stretch, I guess, but here we go. Here we are. SEC After Dark. We're like a big construction company. We're just building and building and building. And it's going to only get bigger. It's only going to get better. And Jeb might actually finally do a show based on our brief conversation moments ago.
Yeah. Boss Man came in at the end of it. He didn't hear a word of it, so he has no idea.
So what after the show, boss man?
Saved by the bell.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll let you know after the show.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just think big. Just think real big. Silver screen. Oh, no, just kidding.
Emmys, Grammys, all the. I'm just
Dream of
my-
silver screen flotation.
My Locked On videos today, there was one on a website in Sacramento, California. There was a Phoenix, Arizona, and a Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's some hot Locked On Ole Miss camp stuff. So I'm pretty excited about the expansion of that brand as well.
Went to Phoenix, Arizona, all the way to Tacoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, LA. Anyway, so we are live.
We are back.
We are back.
boss man.
Good to see you. Good to see your face.
Good to be back. Good to see y'all.
Welcome back. I guess Hammer. I guess he's hitting the slopes.
Yeah, no, his net. He's out of net zero disc or
Yeah,
disc.
That's true. That's also true.
Yeah.
The spirits in his apartment decided to lock down his internet. They don't haunt anything else. They just haunt his internet connection.
Was it the spirit of Starkville, Mississippi? Is that what's the spirit?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep, it was Stark. They see what happened was the movers snuck a cowbell into the U-Haul, and that just ruins everything.
Yeah, cursed cowbell.
Cursed cowbell.
It's something because he was doing it on his phone. He did Biscuits and SEC Live last night on his phone. So
Wow.
yeah, still AOL.
Yep, AOL for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get the noises that Jake will never ever know about when you connect.
Good gosh.
I remember.
Jake,
I remember all
Yeah,
that.
he's from Alabama, so it was like 2015.
Right, exactly.
That is true. Good point, Steve. Well done. Point for you. All right. If this were around the horn, I would click your little meter up there.
I don't know why I'm fired up and pissing everybody off today. So
Oh, do tell.
That's your
I don't know. Yeah, it's
So
kind of what I do.
I thought that was every day. Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say like, isn't this a normal occurrence? Is it like more special than other days?
Hey, like on the Locked On SEC Squad show that aired starting at 5:00, I led that bad boy off by saying Arch Manning's the most overrated quarterback in college football.
Yeah. Hey, I took another shot and said Nico.
Bam.
So yeah, I'm not far behind you, Steve.
Nico. Yeah. Oh, Joe.
Yeah.
Overrated. Come on. Who's got him rated that high?
Yeah, talk to that person.
Yeah.
And then Steve threw me a bone. I wouldn't accept it, but he threw me a bone and said Diego Pavia is the best quarterback in the SEC.
Yeah, everybody's like, well, he can't win a championship. It's like, no, this is Vandy players.
Right.
It's different rules. You got to grade on a curve a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But I did say, and I said this on that program, and I mean that here. Arch Manning, if his name was Arch Davis, everybody would be talking about how Texas was an 8-4 team next year.
yeah, no, totally. He is right now at this moment. Now, he could get out there and prove all of us wrong, but he as of right now, it's about the decal and it's about the nameplate on the back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nameplate first, decal.
People are getting way out ahead of themselves on Texas. I've said this a couple times. I think I said it here a couple weeks ago. I said it on Biscuits and SEC Live. Texas is losing a lot. A ton of production. 4 out of 5 offensive linemen. starting quarterback, multiple starting wide receivers, and you got multiple, big time guys, right, in sports media. Just Texas, like national champs next year. Like
No,
Yeah. And
No
they
way.
did not have a big transfer portal class.
no, they didn't.
It's weird. And then
It
like
is weird.
and it's never good. I don't care how far down the depth chart these guys are. It's never good to lose interior defensive linemen, and they lost one to Vandy.
Yeah.
Like it's never good to lose anybody on the lines.
Listen, I think one of the smartest thing in the world, and I think Clark Lee and them, they are going to figure it out, is get the best player you possibly can in to transfer to Vanderbilt so they can go to school for 1 year and get a degree that says Vanderbilt University on it.
Yeah.
Or
I think transfer like that will work too.
Yeah, that is like a secret sauce for Vandy. And once they figure out how to unlock that, look out.
I mean, has anybody from Vandy been drafted besides like Earl Bennett, back in the day?
It's been
Jay
a while.
Cutler.
It's been Jay Cutler. I
It's
mean,
been a minute.
Jordan Matthews, I think, was the last one.
They have Oren Burks. Oren
Burks.
Burks. He
Wow.
plays. He's on the Eagles. I think Kari Blassingame is on the Eagles too. Currently, I think he was undrafted though. But Oren Burks, I think, was a late rounder.
What about Orgy? Wasn't there a linebacker recently?
Yeah, Orgy. Yeah, Alex.
His name?
Todd Rick.
Yeah, Alex Orgy.
Yeah.
I think he's the other Alex Orgy.
Right.
The point stands. Get your degree from Vandy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have two more that are in the draft right now. Two defensive backs, to Ricky Wright and CJ Taylor. That I don't think they didn't get invited to the combine because I don't think there's any NFL GM out there that knows what to do with these two guys because they're tweeners. They're like a little too big and not quite fast enough to play safety and free safety, but they're like a little small to play like edge. So it's like, what do you do with them? Like, do you create a position on your defense for that guy in certain situations and then throw them on special teams? Like that's kind of where they're at.
Hurts to Devontae
All right,
is
man,
nice.
that's it.
Yeah, Hurts to Devontae is pretty good, Rick and Bonnie, but Hurts to AJ is what got them going.
AJ Brown.
Yeah, that was.
I'm going to tell y'all that ridiculous, bogus fourth down penalty on the very first drive for they got an offensive. I was like, well, here we go. The Chiefs got the rest in the bag, and then
the refs were like, you know what? The refs heel turned on him. It was
it was too big to matter. It was what they've realized. They took the opportunity to kind of play the other side with it, so they can say, "See, we call it fair. We call it that way." No, that game, honestly, and I'm going to be real, that looked like two ships passing in the night.
Yeah.
We might have just saw the end of the Chiefs dynasty, and the Eagles might be getting ready to just go holy hell on people.
I mean, I'll say this: them dogs is hell. I'll say that.
Yeah. Who knew that recruiting Georgia defensive players was a good strategy? Who would have figured that?
Yeah, I mean, go figure that you would take 5 Georgia defenders from the best defense that's ever played college football. Who would have thought that they would be successful? I don't know. I guess.
But Steve,
hey, Falcons, are you listening to this? Yeah, there's a school right up like 60 miles from you. Oh, you can draft those players. I hear they're pretty good.
Yeah. But Steve, you called it. You said if Jalen Hurts got going in this game, it would be lights out for Kansas City, and he got going real early. And
what's crazy is Saquon wasn't even a factor.
He wasn't.
That's the scary part.
Yeah. That game was won by Jalen.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it literally was. He was on pretty much the whole night. He was as bad as Patrick Mahomes was, because Patrick Mahomes, everybody talks about the one deep pass that he threw at the end. It's like, look at that. He was not good for 2.5 quarters.
I think that game was won by the defensive line for the Eagles. Impressive.
They only sent 4 the entire game. I think the one or two times they blitzed, they gave up big yardage.
Yeah, just destroyed that offensive line.
Yeah.
The SEC pointed out is like, who knew that an SEC all-star team was needed to beat the Chiefs?
Hey, Big Ten guys, look at what happens in the SEC. Look at what we produce. As a conference. We should go on Locked On Big Ten and the Big Ten squad show, Steve, and we should point that out.
Yeah. I'm waiting for Ole Miss to whoop up on Penn State next year.
That
No,
would
I
be,
can't
that would
wait.
be nice.
I'm waiting on that, and I will crash the Big Ten squad show.
Yeah, you need to get Zach to get you the link so you can crash and just tell
I'd
him.
be happy to be part of the comment army on that because we get some Big Ten fans on this one and say with Biscuits and SEC Live. If y'all are watching, get in the chat
That's right.
Hell yeah.
and we'll get you back.
Yeah, that's phenomenal, dude. Like that Super Bowl. It was a really just if you look at it just from a fan perspective and you're not an Eagles fan, that game was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like it just wasn't a good game.
No.
And it was the Chiefs' fault, and that's so glorious. I said leading up to that game, and I think I said it on this show, I wanted the Super Bowl to be a good old-fashioned 1980s style Super Bowl where the NFC just beats the holy hell out of the AFC, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, exactly what happened. And unless you're a football super fan or an Eagles fan, that game sucked. And luckily for me, I'm a Dogs fan, and so I enjoyed watching them Dogs whoop up on. Now, I will say this: I could not root for Philly, but I was rooting for Saquon. I was rooting for the Georgia players on the defense, and I was rooting for Jalen Hurts to shut everybody the hell up.
And he did.
And he did.
I lived in Philadelphia for 2 years when I was in the military.
I couldn't root for Sirianni
As a Saints fan. And there's not many teams in the world that I hate more than any team in Philadelphia, period. I think they're the worst sports fans in history just because they're assholes and they're passionate about it. They want to act like they're the best. They don't know what they're talking about, and they're spoiled. And before they won with the Nick Foles, they haven't won anything.
Yeah.
Like a Philadelphia Flyers Stanley Cup was their big win, and then they won some after that.
I think they won a World Series with the Phillies in like 2008 or something like that.
Yeah, they won with Ryan Howard and not Rollins.
Yeah,
Jimmy
Rollins.
Pick Carino, the flying Hawaiian.
Now picture how much I had to hate the Kansas City Chiefs to root for Philadelphia in this game, because I was all in on Fly Eagles Fly in this game, all in.
I think a lot of people were.
Yeah, America was. They just wanted it to be over because it takes, you beat Kansas City, you beat the refs, and you just did it in such a, Philadelphia Gatorade dumped their coach with 4 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah. And they gave up a long bomb touchdown right after. that was kind of funny. Yeah, that game. Kansas City, they could have played 10 quarters. They were never going to win that game.
Yeah. As a long-suffering Cowboys fan, I felt like I had a knife here and like a knife right here. Just which one do you want to drive in to kill me? But
and then which one was the Schottenheimer knife?
Yeah.
Oh, that was weeks ago. I was already bleeding out.
Yeah, that was in the back.
Dude, I've seen y'all's coaching staff y'all have assembled, and it's like, who are they? I don't know any of the guys that you got.
What's going on?
Yeah. Oh, I don't care. I haven't looked at any of them.
Hey, boss man.
You know what? My hands are up, man.
Hey, the Falcons need a few fans.
Yeah.
My kind of team, Charlie. My kind of team.
Y'all got Jerry Jones. That's what.
Are they trying to move to London?
Oh, they're gonna be fine.
No, that's the Dallas Mavericks.
My goodness.
Does Jerry own them too?
You would think. I mean,
you're going to say, but seriously, the NBA is not rigged.
I mean,
what?
Yeah, that whole thing.
We've been waiting for you for this one, boss man. That trade was god awful, and they justified it by Luka's fat.
He's fat.
Yeah.
What?
I don't care. I don't care if he's 350 pounds. If he's shooting the lights out like you did there, I don't care. Whatever. Hire a big man like you did when you had Dirk, who was a liability on defense too, right? Like get Tyson Chandler, get another one of him, put him down low, and it's just the whole thing is just unbelievable. You get him back for pennies, and we all know AD's hurt all the time.
Yeah,
AD's hurt all the time. He's aging. He's 5 years or whatever older than Luka, 6 years or something older. It's insane. I mean, I had to. There was multiple things that I saw. At first, I thought it was one of those jokes, comes across Instagram or Twitter or something. You see it and you're like, oh, okay, they're not going to get me here. And then the third time you see it and you're like, okay, that isn't fake Bleacher Report. That's Bleacher Report. Like
Yeah.
What are you talking about? We traded Luka, you know?
I thought it was a fake Woj account, or
right?
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
who's the new? It's Windhorst.
Sham or
Shams,
yeah.
Shams, and then Brian Windhorst, who started out as LeBron's personal reporter.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the meme?
Yeah. Remember, God, that's got to be the most like degrading job title. Hey, you're just going to report on nothing but LeBron.
LeBron's bag man.
Yeah.
God.
Josh
What a boring job.
That was probably the third worst trade in the history of sports. Behind the Herschel Walker trade to the Vikings,
bad.
where they gave everything up to the Cowboys, and behind the Boston Red Sox selling, not trading, selling Babe Ruth. And this is the best part. They sold him for $100,000, but part of that deal was the Red Sox owner was going to get a $300,000 loan because he was addicted to creating Broadway plays. So the New York Yankees owner gave that loan for $300,000 at 10% interest, which means the Boston Red Sox owner actually ended up paying the New York Yankees to take Babe Ruth after it was all said and done.
Wow.
How did that work out for them?
It did until
About 100 years of misery, I do believe.
to what, 2002?
Steve lived all of those.
Yeah, and that is a great Babe Ruth story. There's another Babe Ruth story. It's one of my favorite. There's a pitcher for the Red Sox that came into the game and got 27 straight outs. He basically threw perfect game baseball, but he got credit for a combined no-hitter. You know why? Because Babe Ruth walked the first batter and punched the umpire and got kicked out of the game.
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
That's amazing.
Babe Ruth.
I love hearing that story about not about him punching the umpire. That's great.
I never that was one of those Ken Burns baseball documentaries that you like, right, Steve?
I love the Ken Burns documentaries. I watched the heck out of those.
Yeah,
Hank's on that too. He got into the country music one. He loved the country music one.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it had to be embarrassing to watch. You know, as a Boston Red Sox fan at that time, see Babe Ruth like go win multiple championships and World Series with the Yankees.
Red Sox fans had to know what was coming.
Yeah. Because
in the last year of the dead ball era when nobody hit home runs, he hit 27. So you had to know once it got juiced that the ball was going to fly.
And he was going to start. And then he joins that lineup. And also imagine being Wally Pipp. You get hurt and you're like, wait a second. Hold on.
Yeah. In comes the Iron Horse.
Yeah. Jeez.
So, yeah.
As a lifelong Tigers fan for the last 2 years, Steve, so has your opinion of Ty Cobb changed a lot?
My opinion never was negative towards Ty Cobb. Ty Cobb, one of the best. He's the first Hall of Famer. He got into the Hall of Fame before Babe Ruth. That tells you how good he was to his peers. He was the first one in. Babe Ruth was the second.
Nice.
Yeah. This is getting me jacked up for baseball. SEC baseball starting tomorrow, man. I can't wait. All of our teams going to be good, by the way.
Yeah,
Vandy's breaking in a whole new rotation, so this will be interesting. The guy that emerged as the Sunday starter for Vandy is now the Friday starter. So, and he's kicking the season off. J.D. Thompson.
Hey, Ole Miss is getting Hunter Elliott back. They're going to start in Arlington against Arizona tomorrow.
Is Ole Miss ranked to start the year? Or
no, Ole Miss is a preseason 15th out of 16 teams in the SEC.
Okay. Yeah.
So is that
Ole Miss should be good, but may not be this year.
I think the SEC is going to be good. So Ole Miss could have a decent team, but end up
that's true. Yeah,
pulling all kinds of crap. But the Ole Miss does have an ace this year, which they didn't have last year.
Yeah. Vandy's still looking for that ace, and I think Georgia is. They're going to be even better again this year.
Their big one is they lost Condon, right?
Yeah, he was a Rockies, I think.
I think that's right.
Oh my goodness, he went to the Rockies.
I think so.
He's going to hit 9,000 home runs.
Yeah, Georgia's projected to earn the number 9 overall seed. Oh yeah, he's going to hit 1 million home runs.
If he can handle velocity and hit a fastball, he is going to rake at Coors Field.
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem for him. Don't think that's a problem. So, but yeah, this is this is gonna
Softball
be-
started up too.
Yeah.
It's been going on.
So is the NCAA tournament now just going to be the SEC tournament for softball?
Well, that's what it's been. Even last year, 13. There's only 13 teams in the SEC that play softball, and all 13 of them last year made the NCAA tournament.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's insane.
Going to be close to that this year for the women's side as
Yeah,
well.
because you just added Texas and Oklahoma, 2 top 5 programs.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the women's, I was looking at it the other day, right in the newsletter. I think we're going to get. I mean, it's kind of weird because it's a little different, right? Like there's teams that you look and think about it on the men's side, like their record, you'd be like, there's no way they're getting in. But the women's, not as many teams playing, et cetera. There's going to be some teams that get in. So I think it's like at least 10, maybe 12 teams from the SEC that are likely to get into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's insane, and I think baseball is going to be very, very similar because you're going to have a lot of really good teams like LSU, Georgia, Vandy, Florida, A&M.
Yeah, I think it's 6 of the top 10 right now. Preseason SEC has top 10 teams and top 4 in Baseball America are from the SEC.
I mean, it's insane. But Georgia had 20 transfers and 5 true freshmen coming into the lineup. It's insane. But yeah, they're going to be really good. Know nothing about these guys because a lot of transfers, a lot of freshmen. So we're gonna kind of see what this new lineup looks like. And then in basketball, like the SEC is probably gonna, I saw the latest projection is 13 out of the 16 teams are going to the freaking dance.
Yeah.
Ole Miss kind of punched their ticket the other night.
And Georgia's one of those teams somehow. I don't know how, but they're in there.
That's
I
crazy.
don't know either, but
I'll take it. They're probably gonna be like an 11 seed, but hell, I'll take it.
Georgia had a golden opportunity against Mississippi State the other day.
They did.
blew that.
They had a golden opportunity against A&M too. Like they were up in the first half, they were kind of controlling the game, and then the wheels fell off. Like that's what they do.
That's A&M's thing, though. A&M's done that to several teams this year, to where you think you're doing very well, and you look up, and all of a sudden you haven't scored a point in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just kind of and Georgia's very like immature when it comes to how to handle second half, especially on the road. They just can't quite figure it out. They start jacking up threes, they start turning the ball over, they start playing real tight, and they start playing, they go from playing like a team that's like trying to do something to playing like a group of like 8th graders at the park that just met each other, where everyone's like, selfish ball hog stuff. Like it's just it's weird. I've never seen a transformation.
Their best players are true freshmen. I mean,
they're young. They got a young core.
Yeah.
That's part of it. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that the scariest team in the SEC might not be Auburn. It may be Florida. Florida went into Neville and absolutely dominated that game.
They're this.
Yeah, I was gonna say
they are this.
we lost by 30 and beat them by 20. So yeah, they're all over the place.
But I mean, they went to Neville the last weekend, I think, and just dominated Auburn. It was
without one of their better players.
right. Yeah.
They could. I mean, they were an SEC finalist last year in the tournament.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If the Florida athletic department will just block Instagram on their Wi-Fi, the coaches could focus and they would actually be done with that whole roller coaster.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
That's a job for the game changer coordinator down at Florida.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Man, I looked at the latest, like Joe Lenardi, and it was 3 SEC teams as ones and 2 as twos.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What?
Who's
Alabama,
before-
Auburn, and Florida as the ones.
Tennessee still is
Tennessee.
one.
Okay.
And then Florida and A&M are the twos.
Tennessee, sorry, Jeb, I'm piling on Tennessee a lot today, but
Tennessee is not a 1 seed. They're good and they play defense. I mean, them boys hell. But they're not a 1 seed. They're a 2 or a 3 seed.
I would say A&M's more of a 1 seed than they are,
Mm-hmm.
and A&M's like 8th in the country or something like that, right?
Oh, that's a good point, Rick and Bonnie. Iron Bowl this Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
fact
Iron.
that they called this the Iron Bowl. kind of let you know what the state of football is in the state of Alabama.
I got my blood pressure medicine ready for this game.
The Iron Net.
It's gonna be bad.
This is a stand up for the whole game type of game.
Yeah, it's gonna be awful.
And it's in Coleman, so Alabama probably should win the game.
You know,
I think Alabama's going to win in Coleman, and I think Auburn's going to win in Neville.
I'm just worried about, they shot lights out against Texas the other night. I mean, they shot like 50% from three and 90% from the free throw line. This is the game. It feels like they just can't make nothing. Just too much hype. I don't know. We'll see though.
You think Chad Baker Mazar? They're just going to put him on Sears?
Probably.
Just that much length to try and do something.
Yeah.
Because it probably won't be one of the short guys.
No.
Sears will eat him up.
Yeah.
If they put anybody else.
I want to see how Aiden Holloway plays in this game though. Playing against his former team. If he goes off, Alabama might be all right.
What time is the game?
Let's see.
It should be interesting because the basketball egg bowl's that day too.
Yeah, it's 3 p.m.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of some basketball names for these rivalries. The Iron Net. Then you have the egg basket. Egg basket. There you go. Egg basket. Clean old fashioned bricks for Georgia Tech.
That's probably more right than we know.
Yeah, that's very accurate because both teams are very bad right now.
Yeah.
Well, not Georgia anymore, but for a hot minute, that was the most pitiful game you've ever seen.
I was talking about that recently with some folks. It's kind of interesting what's happened in the ACC, like with Georgia Tech used to be a powerhouse. So did Wake Forest. Used to be a powerhouse. Like those teams haven't been on the scene for about a decade now, at least.
Right.
It's the last time I remember Wake Forest being any good was Al Farouk Aminu or whatever, who was a couple years after Chris Paul. It's like, I don't know. It's just interesting. It got me thinking one day. I was thinking about that. I was like, man, those teams. I remember, when I was younger, when I was in, middle school and high school, like those teams were darn good.
Yeah.
And
think how average North Carolina is.
Yeah, North Carolina's struggling. Right
True.
now.
Yeah.
Even it's
Florida State used to be a very
and Miami's got like 3 wins.
Yeah.
I'll put it like this: Louisville had like 7 wins last season, and they're going to win like 26 this year.
Yeah, and SMU is 4th right now in those standings. I mean,
damn, SMU have
going to go playoff berth.
Yeah,
never mind.
Playoffs. Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, the ACC is probably. The tournament used to be must-watch TV.
Yeah.
And Virginia just won a championship not too long ago, and they're struggling now. I mean, it's crazy.
Tony, I think we talked about it earlier. Tony Bennett leaving, man. That thing's going to go.
That's going to go downhill quick.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Which is interesting for the UVA athletic department because if that's their crown jewel, like other than that, they've got lacrosse. Baseball's good. Swimming, like the Olympic sports are good.
Soccer's pretty good.
Soccer's great, but the top 3 sports, right? Like
football's not good.
Football's terrible.
Yeah.
Baseball's good, and that's it. Baseball, football, and basketball. And now, if you got basketball that goes down, being really their crown jewel, their moneymaker, I don't know what that athletic department's going to do.
And Syracuse has not been good since Jim Boeheim retired either.
Yeah. Yeah. It happens. But Virginia, talking about they have John Paul Jones Arena. That's their arena that they play in. But it's not that John Paul Jones. There's another John Paul Jones. You think it's like, oh, that's great. That's the father of the Navy over there playing for. No. It's just another. It's just some rich dude,
some big donor. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. This is going from bad to worse for the ACC. And then when Buzz Killington left Virginia Tech, that was not a good thing.
No, they haven't recovered since then either.
So Boston College a few years ago was like in the Sweet 16 or something. So
listen, y'all are everybody in this chat is too young to remember this, with the exception of me, and I understand that. I missed the Metro Conference. I genuinely missed the Metro Conference.
The hell is the Metro Conference?
Florida State, Virginia Tech, Southern Miss.
Shit is this?
Yeah, it was like in the 80s.
Wow.
It was
1880s.
Tulane was in that conference. Everything.
Swanee.
It was amazing.
All was right in the world when the Metro Conference was.
Yeah,
right.
Metro Conference. Louisville was in the Metro Conference.
It all went to hell in a handbasket after that.
It was fantastic. It was like the Southern version of the Big East.
That's pretty cool. I was about to say the one I do remember, other than the ACC, was the Big East. Man, those Big East tournaments were awesome.
Yeah, Syracuse, Georgetown
Mm-hmm.
used to freaking duel, man.
Yeah,
Those were fun. And then like every once in a while, like somebody random from like Seton Hall with
Seton Hall. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Seton Hall with the parquet floor.
PJ Carlissimo.
Yeah. Rick Pitino, PJ Carlissimo, Jim Boeheim. Like Jim Boeheim at like when he was 60 years old was just
Louis Carnesecca at St. John's.
Yeah. Rick Pitino was at Providence, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then you had John Thompson, Georgetown.
Yeah. Man, it was awesome.
And that was some basketball right there, man. Pat, that's when basketball was basketball. Now basketball is, I don't know what the hell basketball is now, but it's not basketball.
The tree of coon.
I don't know. She hears stuff all the time, and we got neighbors that
based on this comment,
truck, so
there's no trees for your dog to coon.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means, but I don't even know what treeing a coon means, but
dogs
Running it up, but
literally chased him up a tree to get him trapped.
I thought it was something more. I don't know. I thought it was.
Yeah. Never been coon hunting for it?
No, we're not getting canceled tonight.
went down a completely different road on this.
Go in there.
You're not allowed to Google stuff.
No.
Nobody's allowed to Google stuff.
I'm not Googling that, Jeb.
No.
Oh,
Oh,
gosh.
my
No,
God.
I'm not a hunter, Jake. So
I'm not either, but I know what coon hunting means.
No, don't Google coons and trees. We're not doing that right now at all.
No, Joe.
No.
raccoons, Mom, chase them off the back.
No.
porch of the room.
I'm not interested in any way in losing my job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. So
Let's move on, Corey.
Let's go quarterbacks here.
Corey did this the other day on the SEC squad where he started talking about some crazy person at a basketball game.
Yeah, that was not great. That was not great. So let's go to quarterback. I know. I said it and I was like, oh God. Oh God. Oh boy. Like looked and covered and I was like, oh, that was not good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
But anyway, quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks.
Yes,
All right. Who's over and underrated?
Well, obviously, I started before with Arch Manning, and I completely believe that. I think he's the most overrated quarter, and not just the SEC, but all of college football. If his name was Arch Davis, nobody would be talking about Texas right now.
Yeah. Well, who's number 2 on your list, Steve? That's kind of where I'm going here.
No, yeah.
Number 2 on my list is probably, I think Lenore Sellers would be number 2 on that list. Now, he has the ability to run the football. He has the ability to do all that stuff. But if you take away the run from Lenore Sellers, like Ole Miss and Illinois did, all of a sudden he's not very impressive. So,
yeah. Poor old Tyler Simpson. So he's the underrated Rodney Dangerfield of college football.
I do not think Tyler Simpson is going to play quarterback at Alabama. I think it's going to be Keelan Russell, and they're going to play a true freshman.
I think Ty Simpson is going to play quarterback at the University of Alabama, Birmingham.
Either that or MTSU. He could be hell at MTSU.
Yeah, or
It's
or Memphis.
It's going to be interesting.
Memphis could be a interesting spot for him because his dad's at UT Martin.
Yeah,
and so it's not far down the road there.
Might throw Nussmeier in the overrated category. I think he's getting a little more hype. I've seen some talk, that he could be the number 1 overall quarterback taken in the draft in, 2026. And he might end up being that, but to me, that's a little bit overhyping after what we saw last year.
Yeah, when the offensive line wasn't good for LSU last year, Garrett Nussmeier's legitimately struggled. Like Florida ate him to death.
Yeah.
And LSU just lost 3 players that's going to go to the NFL. Can LSU replace them and be at a high level, or is Garrett Nussmeier going to be running for his life again?
I think it's the latter. I think it's the latter. Yeah. I think he's gonna be running for his life. I mean, I said this on the squad show. This was one of the good things I said on the squad show. Jesus. I said he was remarkably solid.
He is very much a quarterback.
He's remarkably solid. He doesn't do anything exceptionally well and nothing exceptionally bad. He's not going to win you a championship, and he's not going to completely torpedo you.
He's competitive as hell, though.
Yeah.
That's where he's good. He will fight you all the way to the end. I just don't know that he has the tool set necessary to get everything done. No. I think whenever he gets rolling, though, he can make NFL level throws. I do not think he's an NFL level quarterback right now.
And he's going to have players around him that are going to make plays despite whatever he does. So like Barryon Brown, who else did they get? They got somebody else in the portal too. But
some wide receiver from Oklahoma.
Yeah, I can't think of his name for the life of me, but Barryon Brown is one that comes to mind. Like if he could just, all he has to do is launch it as far as he can, and Barryon Brown will run under it. Because he's fast, and you can Google that.
As you guys are talking, that kind of reminds me, like people were saying the same stuff about Joe Burrow before he went off. Coming up that next year. I'm not saying Garrett Nussmeier is Joe Burrow, but if he's
LSU fans are.
Yeah,
sure. But if he's going to make that jump to be a quarterback who's taken in light of like what some of these scouts are talking about, like a top quarterback taken, top 10 picks, something like that. Like he's got a lot of room to improve, in my opinion, which is why I put him in the overrated category at this point. I will say this. Maybe I'm going to drop a grenade in the chat here, but I think Austin Simmons is going to be a really good quarterback. But right now, I'd put him as overrated. We saw one drive last year.
I think he's
impressive, super impressive. But everybody's talking about him like, "Oh my gosh, this is the savior." It's like, hey, we've seen one drive. Come on.
And I don't think he's overrated. I think the hype happens because he's been in the system for 2 years. There's been almost people that have seen him.
Right.
That drive against Georgia got everybody excited. I just think he's rated because if you look at list of the top 16 quarterbacks in the SEC, he's probably not listed at above 9 or 10. So, I don't think he's overrated because below that, you're getting down there to like, I don't know, Jackson Arnold territory, and that's going to be problematic.
Yeah. And I think Diego Pavia is rated. Like, I don't think he's overrated or underrated. I think he's just properly rated.
I think he's the best quarterback in the SEC.
He's underrated. He should be number 1.
I would.
Diego Stones, baby.
I would. Yeah, Diego Stones. I would love that. I want to see him. What's troublesome for me on that is I want to see him improve his downfield passing. I want to see him improve his accuracy and his impact on that side because like he can only do so much, but like he has to be able to like those last 3 games. Like if he was a better passer, I don't know if they beat LSU ever, but they probably are a lot closer with LSU. They probably don't get down 28-7 against South Carolina if they can throw because they had them bottled up. And then Tennessee, the wheels fell off. They were just exhausted at that point. So I don't know what the hell would have happened in that game, but they would have. I think if he improved his passing game, all bets are off there. And part of that's him, part of that's protection, and part of that's he had no receivers. But then again, he's got to carry that.
Yeah. So I think that if Diego Pavia was a better passer, though, he wouldn't be at Vanderbilt right now. If we're going to be honest about that, I think he is what he is, and Vanderbilt's good for having him, and they need to try and make the best of him. And that is what Jerry Kill and Clark Lee and they've been doing. And Vanderbilt
Well, that's the next steps. I mean, obviously it's it's a development.
I think the offense that they run is not suited for Diego Pavia being a high level passer.
I'm not saying high level passer. I'm just saying slightly better than what he was.
But think about all of the full speed contact that he takes on his throwing shoulder over the course of a game. There's going to be some accuracy issues that go on with that. So you sacrifice that for the running aspect of it. I mean, Vandy's offensive coordinator takes a lot from Tom Osborne in Nebraska. That was a quarterback run heavy offense as well. Mm-hmm. And you see a lot of I think we need to quit trying to grade Vanderbilt's offense on the curve of a passing, like locked in team, and kind of think of them as those Nebraska type teams from the late 90s. If you do that, Vanderbilt's offense is plenty efficient.
Yeah. And I just think, for me, a little bit better, just a little bit better, even in just the quick passing game. You hit one or two more shots, and then you complete most of your short stuff, which I think, you cap your attempts at like 25 at the very most, 20 to 25 attempts, which is what they're getting. I think you hit a slightly larger percentage of those and you're good and you're rolling. But I just, it's just a little bit like this. And I think that, in this day and age with the athletes that are on the field, you have to have that element. Even if it's not your primary thing, you still have to have that element.
Where do y'all put who was I going to say? Jackson Arnold right now. Like, maybe not overrated or underrated, but, in terms of 1 through 16 presumed starting quarterbacks, where do you put him?
As an Auburn fan, he's number 1.
Probably somewhere between 9 and 16.
Probably somewhere between 1 and 16. No. That's a tough one because, he's pretty good. Just himself.
He could be a top 5, right? Based on talent.
He is.
I saw him in Under Armour. I literally saw him. He's a good little quarterback. He has some tools.
Okay.
And we'll see how it goes.
Here's
Jackson Arnold's Peyton Thorne 2.0, in my opinion.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think Peyton Thorne was a bad quarterback. I think he has a quarterback whisperer problem as a coach.
Yeah.
I think they were square peg round hole with Peyton Thorne. The thing that Peyton Thorne is bad at is downfield, passing concepts and making decisions in the pocket when you have to make a decision more than just catch, step, and throw. That's the least of his abilities. He's a runner that can throw quick game a little bit sometimes. And, you even had to develop that a little bit. And Hugh Freeze ignored that. Just like he's like, oh, Jarquez Hunter, he's probably one of the best backs in the country. Yeah, I'm not going to really use him that much. I don't think Hugh Freeze knows what he wants to do. And it doesn't matter if Tom Brady himself rewound his years back to his prime and played for Hugh Freeze, he would be bad because Hugh Freeze does not know what he wants to do.
No, Hugh Freeze knows exactly what he wants to do. It's what he wants to do, though. He might not have the personnel to do it. Steve Spurrier wants desperately to be Steve Spurrier. He wants to be that offensive mind that everybody can. That's what Hugh Freeze wants on the field. And because of that, he forces square pegs into round holes and stuff like that, and that gets them in trouble because they take the shot plays, and Hugh Freeze does what he thinks that Steve Spurrier would have done in that same situation. But I know for a fact, I used to have an office directly beside Hugh Freeze. I'm sitting here talking whenever he was taking notes in his notebook. I know he told me that Steve Spurrier was his hero growing up. And he models everything in his coaching game around Steve Spurrier. And it might be doing spread offensive concepts. I'm not talking about the system. It's the way that he would attack stuff is very Spurrier-like in his own head. That's what Auburn does.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. But Steve Spurrier is way smarter than Hugh Freeze, and he understands to what degree he can attack things the way he wants to versus, okay, I know my boundaries. Like Steve Spurrier knew his boundaries, and sometimes he ignored them, and sometimes he didn't. Hugh Freeze just said, "Boundaries, what are those?" Oh yeah, and what I want to do this. I don't care if I have a first round draft pick in my backfield in Jarquez Hunter. I'm gonna sling it around the yard with Peyton Thorne, who is also a running quarterback. So that's that kind of thing.
I'm interested to see it with Jackson Arnold, with the wide receivers, Perry Thompson, Cam Coleman, another year, right? Like they're going to be a year older, been in Hugh Freeze's system, plus bringing in Eric Singleton from Georgia Tech, as well as that kid from Wake Forest. So they got 2 4-star wide receivers in the portal. And I know Jackson Arnold had his issues, with interceptions and turnovers last year as well, and was much more of a running quarterback at Oklahoma. At least that's how they utilized him in the second half of the year. So I don't know. I'm just interested to see how it goes, which is why I was curious what y'all were thinking about, where you'd put him right now.
I mean, I don't know. Like
he better win 8 games or he freezes out of there. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean Auburn. They're not very patient people, and they're not very forgiving people as a fan base, and they will run his butt out of there.
You might have a fair plant.
Yep.
They're winning 5 games or something again.
Yeah, and turning the ball over, and it's gonna. I don't think you even have to do that with Auburn this year. But it's just, and Diego Pavia, they have a trip up to Nashville, so they're going to get smoked again by Diego Pavia.
Yeah,
Hugh
Freeze, it's never too early to buy that Father's Day gift.
Right. Yeah.
We should have. Let's see, what is around Father's Day? What is the ads we always get, like Omaha Steaks or something like that? What's the big, like, hey, get this for Dad? Ties. Ralph Lauren ties.
Yeah. Ridge wallets. Get your father a Ridge wallet.
Yeah, there you go. Ridge wallet.
Duluth Trading Company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Duluth Trading Company.
How about Marcel Reed?
Marcel
2.
Reed, if he can take a step throwing the football.
Yeah. It's Lenora Sellers to me. Same, pretty much similar. Like,
yeah.
He's kind of like a light version of Lenora Sellers. Like he's a little bit further behind. Lenora Sellers is a dude, but he's also in, like, I said I brought him up as being overrated. I think Steve, you agreed. I think you agreed with me, Steve, when I was back. I think he's overrated. He would be properly rated if he was kind of down in the. I think he's a little too high. I think he's in the top 5 right now, and I'm just not seeing that as of right now. He needs to be kind of in the 6th. But then again, it's a weird conference because, like, who really is number 1? Like,
he's Jalen Milroe. That's who Lenora Sellers is right now. He's Jalen Milroe.
Anthony Richardson, Jalen Milroe.
Yeah. That's a good comparison. I didn't even Jalen Milroe didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about running backs.
I feel like there's really not, looking at the SEC right now, like, who is the clear-cut number 1, kind of like you're saying, Corey, like, who's the clear-cut number 1 quarterback in the SEC? You could make an argument for DJ Lagway.
I mean, I don't hate that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Lagway's good, but again, don't anoint him there. He's made some big plays, but like 40% of his passing yardage a year ago came against Samford. And so it was problematic. And the SEC has a chance to be very good in quarterback in 2026.
Yeah,
they're going to have to shake it out this year a little bit.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, DJ, I'm not saying DJ Lagway was the best quarterback in the SEC. However, you look up and down the list of teams, and it's kind of like you could make an argument for a lot of these guys. Maybe Nico, but based on it, it's a lot of, like, the ceiling is high, right? But we haven't gotten there yet. There's a long way to go to get to that ceiling for just about everybody on this list.
I got a name for you. I got a name right now. Taylor Green, year 2 of Bobby Petrino.
Love it. I think he's going to be really good. I think he got a lot of his mistakes out. I think he got a lot of his, like,
could be
really WTF type plays out of his system.
Well, I think they're always going to exist, but if he takes a step at all, Arkansas is probably going to win another game or two.
My worry is the weapons. You know, they lose Luke Haas. They lose. Was it Satanga or it was Satanga?
I think so.
Yeah, they lost him to the portal. I don't know who they brought in. So Arkansas fans or you guys would have to help me. You know, who's he throwing the ball to next year? He's got Isaac Tesla. I think is coming back, but
no, he was in the Senior Bowl. I think.
Oh,
Petrino has a way, I think, and say what you want to say about him personally. He's kind of a scumbag.
Kind of.
Yeah, I know. Facetiously.
Honor among thieves. Let's look across the SEC here.
Yeah. Say what you want to say about him personally, but professionally as a coordinator, he can find receivers. He can take 4 random dudes and get the most out of them and get squeeze every ounce of production that you can out of those guys. And you're going to be scratching your head like, who?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I think they'll be fine. I think, honestly, if we were going to be real, if Jimbo Fisher did not have a super ego problem his last year and just turned it over to Bobby Petrino and let him do his thing, you would not have a new coach at Texas A&M right now.
Hank,
but Jimbo Fisher,
a whole show about that one topic.
Yeah, it's such a Jimbo Fisher with his Cheesecake Factory play sheet.
It's like it's the in the old 80s movies when the bully hits the nerd and the books fly everywhere and then they pick it up and it's like a jumbled mess before they organize. That's Jimbo's play sheets.
It's trying to find paint at Home Depot. It's like 600 pages of magenta, the different shades of magenta. It's like
and 3rd and 2 to 5 is on page 37 and 3rd and 5 to 7 is on page 64 and all of this
3rd and 5 from the left hash is on page 120.
Man, y'all don't need to get me going down on this rant here because I'll go on for 2 more hours and we'll be here forever. But the worst part about that is that even before the season, we were talking about Aggies were talking about it. Hank and I touched on it in some of our writings on Biscuits and SEC. This isn't big if, right? Like Jimbo Fisher hired Bobby Petrino. We know Bobby Petrino is an offensive wizard. Just I hope that he gives him the reins completely and doesn't meddle in it. But if he meddles in it, this could be a real problem. And that's exactly what happened. It's like sometimes it looked like it was and then you see the Bobby Petrino interview after the season, and I think I about broke my computer. I was just like, this, of course, of course that's what happened.
Because Jimbo, like these guys, like what we don't realize, these guys are egomaniacs, control freaks.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jimbo Fisher is not going to get, like Bobby Petrino should have known that coming in. Jimbo Fisher is not going. I mean, he might not have much choice, but because I don't think the job offers were rolling in for Bobby Petrino, but you got to know that coming in. Like I'm not going to be calling plays here, really.
It's so funny because Jimbo's offense for all those years, right? I think 4 years did not work. It worked at times, but overall it didn't work. There was one guy who ran it well, Kellen Mond, and he was, a senior and had been in Jimbo's system for a couple years. Other than that, everybody looked like they had, Jimbo was talking with 6 different heads when they were looking at him and trying to, understand the offense. So then, like, his solution is to bring in Bobby Petrino and make him learn this terrible offense that no one understands. That's from, won you a title in 2013 and hasn't worked since. And that was, that was the solution.
That was created in 2001.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah. We're running this at LSU, right, with Nick Saban way back in the day, and we're still running that in 2023, 2022 at Texas A&M. It's like, what are we doing?
Jimbo's offense. I seriously, everybody pay attention to this. Jimbo's offense was a DeLorean. He talked about it like it was pretty. It was they could window dress it up. They could do everything. But once it actually got on the field, sometimes it would go 27 miles an hour. Sometimes it would go 19. Sometimes it wouldn't crank at all. It was a crap engine and everything that was open, but it looked really good. All sorts of all sorts of formations.
And every once in a while, you turn the right lug nut, and then the thing takes off and goes 100 miles an hour and crashes.
Yeah.
And then you have to fix it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't.
But hey, Jimbo Fisher, at least he had got his $80 million or whatever it is.
Ooh.
If I was Jimbo, I'd be living on an island somewhere.
Yeah. Which door do you want me to go out? Like the quote.
Yeah. Which door do you want me to go out of, and what time do you want me to leave?
Yeah. Quote of the century.
Mm.
Quote of the freaking century. So spring practice is right around the corner. So like all these over and underrated quarterbacks can kind of prove their worth. But like there's going to be a lot of for a lot of teams, for every team in the SEC, all 16 head coaches return, which is insane. I don't think that's ever happened. Hadn't happened in a long time. Where all the SEC
nobody was paying a buyout this year. Nobody.
And don't blame them. So what, like the big storylines, every team has some big storylines, like Kentucky. Is Mark Stoops just playing I'm just waiting until Kirk Ferentz retires and I'm going to leave? Like, is he playing that game? For A&M, like Marcel Reed, we've got to develop him enough as a passer, not into a passer, enough of a passer so that we can do what we really want to do, which is
and teach those boys how to play zone defense while we're at it.
Yeah.
The underlying storyline there is similar to what I was talking about with Arkansas. With A&M, they have a lot of talent at wide receiver. They brought in a pretty good portal class at wide receiver. They needed to do that. So they addressed it pretty well in terms of talent, is what it looks like. However, they also lost Noah Thomas to Georgia, and that was their size. They don't have a lot of size at wide receiver. Wide receivers, for the most part at A&M, go look at their roster, it's like 6'1" and under. And that's going to be, if you're going to go 4 across, like there's nobody, you don't have Noah Thomas inside the red zone. You don't have Noah Thomas running a fly route. You
worked for the Patriots.
What's that?
Worked for the Patriots.
Hey, it can work. I'm not saying it's, I'm not saying it's not possible. But that is interesting to watch because A&M, I don't think A&M has had a wide receiver drafted since Josh Reynolds.
Wow.
And Christian Kirk. So like, it's been a long time, and it's been a consistent issue at A&M for a while now. So Marcel Reed's progression as a passer is going to be coupled with, can A&M develop those receivers and do those guys actually live up to the hype and live up to their talent?
Speaking of living up to the hype, it's time for Reuben Owens to be Reuben Owens.
Yeah.
Yes. Agreed. And if he doesn't become Reuben Owens, then I don't know, like, I don't know what happens to this team.
Yeah, like this year at the end of this, if he is not coming out and being a 5-star type player, Reuben Owens is a bust. You can officially say that at this point because what is it, 3 years at that point?
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Light touches his freshman year. Last year, obviously,
injury
the entire year. And Le'Veon Moss will be coming back from injury, so it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully, he's full speed and doesn't have any lingering issues from it. But he was running like an NFL back, until he got injured last year.
I can't help but think every time you say Le'Veon Moss, I'm thinking Bell.
Yeah.
My favorite part, though, is the tradition in the SEC that is the most sacred is the fact that Georgia has not played at Texas A&M. They've gone to Texas for a conference game before playing at Texas A&M.
That's crazy.
That's insane. So last thing before I go on my 2 minutes, Mike Elko, like what's the expectations for him year 2? Like what are y'all thinking? Like what do you need to see from him as a coach to say, okay, year two was a success?
Just building on the wins, like 8-4, we're sick of it. We're done with it. Kevin Sumlin, Rick and Bonnie, you guys talk about Kevin Sumlin there, how you liked him and thought he was a decent coach. Kevin Sumlin was fired for 8-4.
Yeah, he was the epitome of 8-4.
Right. We continually, and then Jimbo Fisher was the same way, right? Like he kind of did this, but he was 8-4 once or twice at least. So it's just building on it. Hey, let's get to 9 wins. Let's get to 10 wins, and let's not have the late season collapse, which was a staple of Kevin Sumlin's tenure. A little bit more consistency, build on last year, build on the start of 8 wins, get to 9, get to 10 wins. And then the other piece of it to me would be Mike Elko has made his living on defense. We have to get the defense back to being something of a Mike Elko defense. And if you look at Mike Elko's career, he comes in and the defense sucks, right? And then year 2 looks a lot better. Year 3, year 4, like as you get longer into an Elko tenure, the defense looks much, much better. So we got to see a lot of improvement on the defensive side of the ball. And with him, it seems like taking over play calling again on the defensive side of the ball. Hopefully we'll be moving in that direction.
Yeah, you cannot tee me up with a Texas 8-4 joke like that. You cannot. I'm sitting here like Steve Carell in The Office, like that's what she said.
Yeah.
That's the gif of like that's the meme of like Dwayne Wade lofting up that alley oop and he's doing this.
Yeah, right.
LeBron James is in the background, like he's like 10 feet above the rim, like looking down at it like Space Jam style or NBA Jam style. And it's just about to yam on somebody.
And one more thing on that too, I'll just say this real quick is, I think if you had said this to Aggie fans before the season, in year 1 of Mike Elko, you're going to be 8-4. I think they would have said, it's not great, but we're okay with it, right? Like the dumpster fire that Jimbo left us, you bring in over 20 transfers. That's probably a decent year. We would have liked 9 wins, maybe 10 wins would have been great. But, before the season, 8-4, okay. But then the way that we went 8-4 with a late season collapse and being on the verge of being in the SEC title game up until the Texas game.
Yeah, losing to Texas after a decade.
It was deja vu all over again.
It was deja vu. How many times have we seen that, over the last 10 to 15 years? So,
Steve, that was from your close friend Yogi Berra, a quote. Deja vu all over again.
It can almost be like
place is so busy, nobody goes there.
Yeah, Steve, it can almost be like your joke about Joe Milton. If you need Joe Milton to get you 10 yards, you have to throw it 40 yards. Almost like Texas A&M. If you need them to win 9 games, they'll get you 8 wins.
They'll get you 8. Yeah, that's right.
If you need to get you.
Did y'all see SEC Short stealing my joke?
Oh, which one?
Which one?
To where they're sitting there and they're like doing like the end of the season thing. And it was like Texas A&M, can I go to the prize box? And they're like, I'm sorry. And Texas A&M sneaks into the prize box and it's like, your team goes 8-4, and the next card is your team goes 8-4. Just all.
That is great.
Yeah.
I thought they stole the Atlantic will beat.
No, because of Dan Mullen, that one went away.
Yeah, that went away real quick.
Atlantic will be Florida before Kentucky does.
Oh, that was a perfect joke. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And then Dan Mullen had to lose to Kentucky.
Steve, it took me a minute to figure out what that meant. Like, I was like, what kind of big brain? I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's a rising ocean joke.
Yeah.
Yes.
That situation, me and Jeb die.
Oh gosh.
We die.
Yeah.
We all die, huh?
Huh?
Because y'all are in Orlando.
Yeah, no, it's Mickey Mouse. I got it.
Got it. Get it?
It's
The whole
One thing's really cool. To the airport in Orlando, the airport in Tampa, exactly the same distance to both where I live.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
It's like 52 miles to both.
Interesting.
Nice. All right. Well, Rick and Bonnie now has taken over Cassidy's job.
Yeah,
I
seriously.
love it.
Rick and Bonnie's like 2 minutes.
Seriously, we need to get over this.
That's our catchphrase now. 2 minutes.
Yeah, this was not a good show. Like in like 9:02, they're like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Jeez, man, this
I
is
don't think we broke 100 people tonight.
Oh, almost, dude.
We got
That's
96.
pretty good for off
I
season.
called Nico overrated. I broke way more than 100 people. So, anyway, we are SEC After Dark. Lots of changes coming to the channel. Just stay tuned because we are growing and growing and growing. Right? We are very young in our development as far as a channel. We are very early on in our development, so we are continuing to grow. So be sure if you're on the wagon now, stay put because this ride is going to only get faster, bigger, and stronger than ever. So, Steve, it's partially driven by Stephen Willis, the absolute king of the most watched Ole Miss podcast in the history of Ole Miss podcast. Locked On Ole Miss, and he's partially driving the ship. Jake Thomas, Tide Talk Live. If you need some good Alabama content, there's only one place I can think of to go, and that's
Bam
right
After
there.
Dark. Oh, wait.
Yeah, Bam After Dark, right? Jeb Beecham, when I say this channel is growing, that includes him. He's going to buy MSNBC, WNBC,
WNBC.
WNBC,
MSNBC After Dark.
MSNBC. So we're gonna. So Jeb's gonna break down that movie. If you know the reference, not if you know, you know. Jeb's gonna break it down.
I know that one.
Then Hammer, who is absent, is one half of the Biscuits and SEC. I don't know if he's Biscuits or SEC, but he is one half of the next greatest show on this channel. And then we all join forces to bring you the best show on this channel and the best show in the time slot, SEC After Dark. And we are only getting stronger. And I'm Corey Burton. I'm host of Locked On Vandy and Believe in Georgia Dogs. So I used to say I covered both ends of the spectrums, but now
you're just the battle of mid.
Now I'm just a battle of mid, right?
Good,
So
good.
we'll after losing to Notre Dame, Georgia earned that. So not for long is my goal on that. But
hey, I've got a year to talk all the noise I can at Georgia.
There you go.
You do. You have to, and wait, when do we play next?
Next October
Next year, yeah.
in Sanford Stadium.
So 3. Okay.
Yes, the Ole Miss is 6th or 7th week of the year.
So we just have okay. So that confused me for a minute because I guess we had just gotten you on the cycle before they changed the schedules, and then we got you for another 2.
Yeah, since they just did the reverse. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 3-year thing. I'm glad Ole Miss is playing Georgia every year.
Yeah, I am too.
Because growing up, that was me. That's what I'm used to. Ole Miss and Georgia playing every year.
Yeah, that's a good rivalry that no one really thinks about.
Hmm.
Same with Clemson. Like nobody ever thinks about Georgia Clemson, but that's Georgia. You ask Georgia fans, especially in Northeast Georgia, they hate Clemson like badly. So anyway, we are SEC After Dark. Tune in next week in our new time slot Thursday nights. We'll see you back here. Have a great weekend. Enjoy if you go to a basketball game or whatever you choose to do this Valentine's Day weekend. Make sure you enjoy it. Be safe, and we'll catch you back here next time on SEC After Dark. Peace.
Howdy,
Go Dogs.